This segment is brought to you by Asian Cultural Alliance,
ThesisGate has entered into a grueling battle in the courts. In order to get the truth, a total of 3 court cases concerning Tsai's thesis are underway. Each case has been stalled by different issues within the system. The first case is Tsai's criminal suit against the 3 scholars. It is currently being handled by the presidential office's preferred prosecutor, Huang Wei. Huang has taken the liberty of consolidating 14 other cases along with this one. It would be 406 days before the courts first heard Huang's case. National Taiwan University's Professor Emeritus He Defen staged a protest in which she requested her own arrest. Huang Wei ignored that plea, neglecting his duty. This case is nothing more than an allusion to misdirect the ThesisGate narrative. The second case is Dr. Dennis Peng versus Xavier Zhang. After 2 hearings, Zhang has refused to submit any of the articles the presidential office unveiled in its prior press conferences to evidence. All Zhang has submitted so far is Tsai's 2015 replacement diploma. Judge Zhuo Yuxuan, who heard the case, was unable to determine the authenticity of the diploma. Therefore, Judge Zhuo sent a letter addressed to the University of London asking for first-hand evidence. However, when Judge Zhuo's letter was sent to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs for further processing, the Foreign Ministry sent it back. The Foreign Ministry said it needed a mutual legal assistance treaty with the United Kingdom to handle such a request. The ministry suggested Zhuo's petition be handled by the Judicial Yuan. True, Taiwan does not have a mutual legal assistance treaty with the UK, but asking for degree verification does not necessitate such an agreement. It's clear that the Foreign Ministry is giving the court a hard time. It is trying to interfere with ThesisGate. The third case is Dennis Peng versus Tsai Ing-wen, in which Peng seeks to verify that Tsai's thesis does not exist. The case was dismissed by the court of first instance before there was even a hearing. 323 days after its filing, the high courts finally held a hearing. Tsai's lawyer Lian Yuanlong continues to stall the case. Most recently, Lian raises 3 examples to try and explain why the case shouldn't proceed. If a Mr. Zhang claims that a Mr. Li's son is not Mr. Li's blood relative and that Li's wife had the child out of wedlock, should Mr. Zhang be able to file a case to verify that Li's son is truly Li's blood relative? If a pundit accuses a public servant surnamed Wang of corruption, can that pundit then file a case verifying that Wang has taken bribes? If a news media report spreads a rumor about a public figure besmirching said public figure, can the media outlet then sue to verify that the rumor is true? Lian places a lot of focus on verification. He alleges that these hypothetical cases infringe on prosecutors' and judges' authority. He says that arguments being thrown around concern hypotheticals and matters that have not happened. Lian says such use of the law is abuse of the legal system. However, Lian's arguments do not hold up. Upon seeing Lian's examples, plaintiff lawyer Li Zhenhua said it was all nonsense. In his response, Li said Lian's examples were all based on hearsay. They weren't based on any evidence or deep understanding of ThesisGate's situation. Li says the examples skipped over the part where there was first a criminal defamation case. When Tsai filed her defamation suit, the opportunity to sue for civil compensatory damages presented itself. It's just a matter of whether Tsai wants to sue now or later. Therefore, one can't claim that Tsai won't request damages in this case just because she has not done so yet. Therefore, there's an express legal interest for Peng's case against Tsai to exist, to prepare for this possibility. Lien says that the wording of Peng's accusation against Tsai isn't clear. Lien says that Peng doesn't specify whether he alleges the thesis doesn't exist now or whether it didn't exist in the past. This is a question that goes nowhere. All the written documentation that the ThesisGate side sent to the courts clearly state that the plaintiff alleges a 1984 version of the thesis Tsai would have needed to graduate does not exist. Even presiding judge Huang Mingfa clarified this when he heard the case. The ThesisGate battle isn't just happening in Taiwan. Legal efforts in the UK have begun as well. The English legal system forbids barristers, lawyers who appear in court, from interacting with either party in a case. Barristers are not allowed to look at any evidence compiled by Dr. Peng and Dr. Huan Xilin. Solicitors, lawyers who work within law firms, carry out their own third-party investigation. They not only gathered findings from the University of London, but they also garnered evidence from Taiwan. Solicitors have even conducted forensic appraisals into documents concerning the case. Now that their independent investigation is over, ThesisGate lawyers in the UK are about to carry out legal action. ThesisGate lawyers find ThesisGate's claims credible. They go one step further and pose the question, why did the University of London participate in covering up academic dishonesty? ThesisGate lawyers have subpoenaed 12 witnesses in relation to their investigation. At this juncture, we can only reveal to you that Lord Anthony Giddens and Shi Fanglong are part of the 12 summoned. Lord Giddens helped Tsai's camp obtain a replacement diploma from LSE in 2015. Whether or not the methods he used to obtain the diploma is consistent with former President Chen Shui-bian's explanation remains to be seen. From what we know, we can say that one of the 12 witnesses will be Miss T.B., head of the University of London's Diploma Production Office. Once testimonies are gathered, ThesisGate lawyers can then examine each witness's statements to determine whether or not the 2015 diploma is legal and authentic. The outcome of such an inquiry will invalidate Xavier Chang's argument that the 2015 diploma is evidence enough of Tsai's education. Shi Fanglong's role in ThesisGate is much deeper and complex. Shi has been involved in Tsai's scam since she sent a message congratulating Tsai on her election on behalf of LSE in 2016. The London School of Economics and Political Science congratulated Tsai on October 8, 2019 on her re-election as well. However, that second message was revealed to also be the work of Shi Fanglong because it included an error Shi has been known to make. The error in the message has since been fixed. Shi is in charge of the school's statements regarding Tsai, but what ThesisGate lawyers are most concerned with is whether or not there was an exchange of consideration. An anonymous donation of 480,000 British pounds established the Taiwan Research Program at the London School of Economics. The donation is what ThesisGate lawyers want to look into. That sum of money may play a role in a larger illegal money laundering scheme. It might also be a price paid to the school for their cooperation. Saif Gaddafi made a similar donation in 2011 for his part in an alleged academic fraud scandal. The money Saif Gaddafi paid went to the school's North Africa research program. Here's the interesting part. Shi once said on Facebook that the money didn't come from Taiwan's government. That means she knows exactly whom the donor is. When asked, Shi simply said the school handled the donation and she couldn't ask who the donor was. Witnesses can choose to accept or ignore a subpoena. There is no legal obligation to comply. Witnesses can decline giving testimony. However, if a witness chooses to give testimony, then they are legally obligated to tell the truth. Here's where things get interesting. The University of London has not been connected to the case yet. However, they have hired the second largest law firm in the UK, Pinsent Masons, to work on their behalf. Lawyers from Pinsent Masons requested to see ThesisGate lawyers' list of witnesses. Could it be the school hired Pinsent Masons to defend the 12 individuals? Isn't this a little strange? Even though the University of London is an important player in the case, they have yet to be brought officially into proceedings. But the school has preemptively taken the defensive. Are they worried that we'll find something? It's obvious that the University of London saw this legal battle coming. They've been alert ever since ThesisGate lawyers started inquiring into the school. Hiring a world-class law firm to consult ThesisGate witnesses is even more questionable. Witnesses are on the hook for giving a truthful testimony, not the school. So is the school afraid of what these witnesses know? There's only one reason why the school would do what it did, and that is to straighten out everyone's story. They want to extend this cover-up. Statements made by the University of London have been vague. They use uncertain wording like the records of and the degree awarding body at the time. It flat out denies endorsement of its prior statements. That said, it is still too early to say whether the University of London is complicit in academic fraud. After all, they have never once publicly recognized documents from Tsai's organization. According to Michael Richardson's reports, we know that the University of London is fully aware of the legal battles in Taiwan. To us, that means the school is watching to see who wins. If Tsai Ing-wen wins the court battle, it shows that she still has a grasp on Taiwan's public rhetoric and judiciary. The University of London could just continue complying with Tsai and hide what's going on. If ThesisGate wins the case, then the University of London will have to cut ties with Tsai. They will have to spin ThesisGate as a matter of personal academic fraud carried out by one individual. Right now, official documentation circulating the case has all been manufactured by the presidential office. The presidential office dares not get it appraised, nor does it want to bring it to court. The University of London has hired a world-class law firm and is gearing up to defend key witnesses. Why? Because they're afraid that if they don't control witness testimony, then the truth will be revealed. The Foreign Ministry blocked Judge Zhuo's request for information from London. This is just part of Tsai's firewall. She's telling the University of London that she has Taiwan's legal system on lockdown. The University of London is acting in its best interest. President Tsai Ing-wen has already said too many things that don't add up. We've discussed how Sri Lanka's Colombo Telegraph revealed Sri Lankan politician Sajith Premadasa's academic dishonesty from his time at the London School of Economics. If one day Taiwanese media exposes Tsai's fraudulent degree, then that would be another hit to the University of London. In 2011, Tsai gave a speech at a school where she said her thesis was called Safeguarding Domestic Markets. But on June 28, 2019, the black leather-bound thesis she produced was titled Unfair Trade Practices and Safeguard Action. On October 3, 2012, Tsai Ing-wen told a reporter from Taiwan's United Daily News that she got her PhD in 2 years. On September 23, 2019, Presidential Office spokesperson Xavier Zhang said Tsai took 3 years to get her PhD. 1.5 PhDs, a story about how her department head exclaimed bloody hell, and other outrageous statements are nothing new for Tsai.
荒谬的事情是什么？我有3个 examiner 是3个口试委员。这个因为我的论文是法律跟经济的混合体，所以一个是我的指导老师，一个是经济学家，一个是学法律。
There's a reason why the University of London is casting a wide net when covering its bases. It's because Tsai's claim that she had 3 external examiners is outrageous. When the time comes, the University of London might have to say that Tsai was never a student at the school. The story of how Tsai got her PhD is filled with many oddities and extraordinary claims. Details of Tsai's doctoral education came largely from her 2011 autobiography.
我礼拜3拿到这本书，然后我要去高雄拍片的时候，我就在在这个地方。我觉得最精彩的一个部分是，他拿到博士了，在伦敦拿振兴学院的博士之后，这很棒了吧，对不对？他到街上去。 看到一个音响店，上面有4个英文单字 Hi-Fi， 他很高兴跟他同学讲，我的随身听跟他同一个牌子。其实蠢的蛮可爱的，但却是很生动。好了，作者到现场，我们以热烈掌声来欢迎蔡英文主席。 你们团队太龟毛了，这个书来往往的期间太久了啦，所以要不要先请你讲一下这本书的动机，下来动机，要讲简短一点，不然等一下。
可不可以看一下我的谈餐？这个我的幕僚也帮我准备谈餐。
好，真的。
我 有人说不要闹了，就是这本书关于你自己，干嘛还要谈禅？
对。
这本书是被逼出来的，诚实的讲嘛哈，我没有意思要出这本书，我一点意思都没有，是我的幕僚逼我的，啊，他们的意思是说，你如果自己不讲，别人帮你讲更糟，所以那就逼我自己讲。
啊，有非常多的那个影像的东西，当然很多部分我觉得我会很羡慕，比如他写到某些部分，我会很羡慕。其实我最羡慕的部分是哪一部分，你知道吗？
不知道。
你在伦敦政经学院念书的那个阶段，其实那是非常生硬的一个阶段，但是他写得非常好。我有一段正在看的过程中，我觉得我要是蔡英文多好，那没有命啊，当然他没有那种智慧哈。
Famed director Wu Nianzhen hosted the release event for Tsai's autobiography. Wu said throughout the event that he was envious of Tsai's time at the London School of Economics. He even pointed out that Tsai's people had been very particular with publishers about this book. However, a key moment came when Wu asked Tsai to introduce some of the pictures in the book. During the release event, not one picture from the London School of Economics was talked about. Not even this picture, which Tsai said was taken when her sister traveled to London to visit. In the book, the photo is captioned with, "My sister visited me in England while I was preparing for my Viva." That's what Tsai's organization dictated to the publisher. However, there was no mention of this picture during the book's release. Did Tsai forget to talk about it, or was it that she would have felt guilty doing so? Tsai's doctoral viva is one of the most important aspects of ThesisGate. It's also something the University of London and the UK Information Commissioner's Office refused to publicize information about. Both entities say doing so would violate personal information laws. The only information we have about the Viva right now is the University of London says that it took place on Sunday, October 16th, 1983. And this picture, which said Tsai was taken when her sister visited London during her Viva. We can test both pieces of information. First, there is no way a Viva could take place on a Sunday in the West. Second, the picture of Tsai and her sister raises many questions. In the picture, Tsai and her sister are wearing short sleeves. A netizen going by the username omoto_tw on the online forum Mobile01 pointed out a few problems. On October 22nd, 1983, a nuclear disarmament march took place in London. Pictures from the march show participants wearing large coats and scarves. Omoto_tw also pointed out that when Dr. Dennis Pong visited London in October of last year, he wore thicker clothing. Netizens even looked up meteorological data from October 16, 1983. They found that the temperature at 1:50 a.m. that day was 9 degrees Celsius. The highest temperature that day occurred at 10:50 a.m., registering a brisk 13 degrees Celsius. Tsai's organization could have easily shrugged this off by citing unstable weather patterns. Omoto_tw, however, went further with his analysis. Many other netizens joined in on the search with their own astute observations. The car behind Tsai is configured for right-hand traffic. Cars in the UK are configured for left-hand traffic. The streetlights looked like ones used in America. In 2 short days, netizens came to the conclusion that the picture of Tsai and her sister was taken outside of the Cathedral Church of St. Paul in Boston, USA. Netizens compared Tsai's picture to photos of St. Paul's Cathedral and found that the stairs, streetlights, and back wall patterns in both pictures matched. However, a netizen found a picture of the cathedral from 1982 and compared it to Tsai's picture. The 1982 photo confirms that Tsai's picture was taken in Boston, not London. Why did Tsai say a picture of her and her sister was taken in London when it was actually taken in Boston? Why did the book release skip over that picture? Is the publisher privy to what's going on? Or is this picture just one entire lie? This picture of Tsai and her sister is the only one in the entire book that is said to depict London. There isn't another one. Tsai doesn't have a doctoral diploma. There are no traces of a thesis written by her from 1984. The one picture that Tsai said was from her time in London is not what it seems. The office of the president has yet to make any statement on the matter. Not even Tsai's horde of online supporters have anything to say about this. With all of these loose ends concerning Tsai's Viva floating around, it's no wonder why the University of London has lawyered up. Labeling a photograph taken in Boston as one taken in London is no simple mistake. That is something that can't be misremembered. The photo is a part of the ThesisGate cover-up. Tsai not only fabricated stories about a Viva that never happened, she even gave her story pictures. Tsai's organization visited London in June 2011. They failed to smuggle a thesis into the London School of Economics library. They know they had to write a compelling and moving story if they were going to convince anyone Tsai had a doctorate. An organization that has no problem falsifying evidence and fabricating stories is an organization that's obstructing justice. Tsai's organization is interfering, lying, cheating, stalling, and sidestepping the legal system. Under a functional democracy, a president that engages in academic fraud would be removed. It would bring forth a massive political scandal. Without public trust, a person would not be allowed to lead. They would be overthrown. ThesisGate isn't about winning or losing. It's about when the truth will be revealed. Every viewer watching this show is bearing witness to history. Every pair of eyes that have followed ThesisGate may come under attack from the corrupt. However, we must keep the faith. We must endure until Tsai has been brought to justice.